All right, guys. The practice number 7 in the books. We were supposed to go to the Liberty Bowl, but due to inclement weather, made the right decision to practice indoors. So another day indoors, but that's okay. We're very fortunate to have it. It kind of reminds you every opportunity you get to go in there how fortunate we are. You think back that we weren't able to get in there till last July, and what a blessing it's been. So we're so fortunate to all those people who made that happen. Almost feel like we're halfway through, at least our practices. Got a good scrimmage today, a lot of competitive reps, which is what you want to see. Probably got somewhere around the 110 total mark, a little bit less than what we got last Saturday. As you know, we get a little bit banged up as spring goes on, but like the mindset of this group, and we're going to keep battling.
Steven, first question.
Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. I can't remember if it was signing day or the spring practice preview, but you said there was a possibility that there are going to be more players entering the portal. So my first question is, were you kind of surprised at Todd's decision earlier this week?
I'm not going to discuss anybody that's not on our roster. There's been a lot of people that have left our team, so I won't discuss anybody in the past unless it's maybe a former player that's playing the NFL that meant a great deal to our community or something. But I won't discuss anybody that's entered the transfer portal.
All right. Well, a second question is, what's your outlook on the receiver group now, and just how are those guys looking with basically another spot open for somebody to compete for?
Yeah, I kind of go back to the conversation that occurred when Monty Coxey opted out. Right 2 days before the UCF game. Next man up mentality. We're very fortunate, right? Guys like Calvin Austin, an all-conference wide receiver. It's just going to mean more opportunities for him. Guys like Sean Dykes, who's a great receiving threat. The opportunity to continue to get him more catches. And then look, next man up mentality. Javon Ivory is a guy we got big hopes and goals for. I think he's going to step up in a huge way. And then we got a lot of young receivers. We like to go out there and see battle it out.
Evan?
Kind of piggybacking off of that question, Ryan. I mean, since really the season ended, there have been a lot of guys who have entered into the portal. So I guess you mentioned just kind of how you want to keep things going, but just kind of, are you surprised, or did you kind of expect it just because of the nature of whether it be playing time or this extra year that's coming up? Are you surprised maybe at just kind of this level of movement maybe?
Well, we have 102 guys on our roster, Evan. I'm only allowed to go into training camp with 110. So the reality of it is, if you look at how many other freshmen are coming in, that's where we're at in college football these days. You guys understand as sports writers that's the day and nature of it. There's also things that occur outside of our deal that I don't talk about on a personal level that occur with our players because I respect our players, whether they're here or not. And so I'm not going to share necessarily the things that occur. I just keep it within our program and run the program to the best of my ability. I feel it's like the right way to continue to have a great culture.
Steven?
So I guess just from today's scrimmages, what stood out from you, or was there a position group or maybe a player that impressed you with their effort today?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with how hard the running backs are running the ball. Not that they didn't last year, but I just feel like they're trusting their tracks. And I'm telling them it's okay. A 3-yard gain is okay, right? What we have to avoid seeing them is the negative runs. We've got to be able to just go forward. They're coming off the ball. I like the mindset of the offensive line in the run game, which is something obviously you guys know we struggled in last year. So that's one of those things this spring we've really been trying to establish the run. With that being said, our defense had a nice day, getting some 3 and outs, which is good. Like I told you guys, I really like the depth all along at our defense. And so just going to continue seeing them, right? We got 4 quarterbacks battling it out, and there's some good, bad, like I said last week, some ugly. But we'll keep pushing and see where this thing unfolds.
Evan?
For me, what specifically did you like about the quarterbacks today? Because I know you're obviously, giving them chances to kind of see what they do with the first team unit, but just what specifically did you like from them, as you're seeing them now in the second scrimmage?
Yeah, Evan, I think that, now that we're really 5 installations in, right? So when I say installations, we talk about day-by-day install. So, we're almost done with our base installs, what our meat and potatoes is of our offense. And I think those guys have a good understanding of it, but we need them to have a full grasp. And I think once that happens, they're able to play a little bit faster. Keelan Brown, like we said, has gotten a lot of the more reps, live reps last year. When I say live reps, almost with the 3s and at some point with the 2s during the season, as you guys well know. And so he's been able to play a little bit faster than those guys. Grant has a great understanding. He's just got to be able to take it to the field, right? Peter continues to show his athletic ability and his strong arm. He needs to continue to make the right checks and balances with what we're going to do. And, really pleased, like I said, Seth's one of those guys that every single rep is so vital to him, and you're seeing him getting better with each one.
With that said, do you feel as if kind of, it's, granted, you went through this, obviously with Riley and Brady in their quarterback battles, but with them kind of rotating, do you sense that they're trying to find that rhythm, but also try to, again, get used to these guys as well? How difficult is that? Because it's kind of a two front almost, where you're learning the offense, but learning the players too.
No question. That's right. You take the good with the bad, right? Sometimes you would just say, okay, we could just stick this guy with this unit so he knows these receivers, he knows the routes that this guy runs, the way this offensive line blocks. But I think it's also, in fairness to them, I think it's important. Hey, let's get this guy that yesterday went with the threes. Let's get him reps with the ones. So maybe he feels like he's got a different option to throw to, or maybe a different look by the defense, right? A better disguise. And so I think spring ball is a perfect time to mix all that in. I don't want to be, August 28th and I'm rotating, hey, our number 4 quarterback went with the ones today, because at some point we'll narrow it down, but we're far from that, and which is okay, because like I said, I think the nice thing is each one of them is progressing instead of degressing, and so just kind of pleased with that effort.
Steven?
You guys are having a lot of competition, position battles all on both sides of the ball. Are there any, I know with the quarterback, running backs probably going to go to in the fall, are there any that you anticipate maybe being wrapped up by the spring game?
Well, not at the position battles, right? I think it's pretty obvious that, our Sean Dykes is, our starting tight end, that Dylan Parham will start somewhere on the offensive line. Calvin also will be a starting receiver. Other than that, it's, hey, let's battle it out. And I love competition. I think it breeds of us all. Javon Ivory's obviously out with shoulders, but I think Javon's going to be obviously the guy that we're going to look for to get a lot of reps. And then, defensively, look, it's just great to have John Tate back, but we're still trying to figure out some spots at the D line. We're a little bit banged up there. Like I've told you guys, man, I gush when I talk about our linebacker play. I love JJ Russell. He's been a leader for a long time here. And then we got, Thomas Pickens and Zay Collins. We got a lot of guys. Keith Brown came back for an extra year. Excited. And then the secondary, we're going to mix and match. Like I told you guys, moving those guys around will help us, but it's good. But yeah, Steven, I think there won't be very few people who can sit there and say that's our starter. And I'm okay with that. Look, we got, June and July for them to get a lot of work in the workouts and see how their bodies progress. And then last year we had 9 days of training camp. This year we expect to have whatever the NCAA allows, which may be 29 days or however that unfolds.
Evan?
We talked to Calvin on Tuesday. I believe, he said he's focusing more on football, obviously not on track. And granted, I know there's an overlap with the seasons this year. But just kind of curious, because I know Keelan Brown also came in as a baseball player. What is your philosophy on guys, playing multiple sports? And is that something that, what will that be going forward? Or what will that be going forward?
Yeah. So, Calvin and I had the discussion, and I think Calvin's got a bright future ahead of him after the University of Memphis, not only in the NFL, but in life. And, it's great for him to focus on football with what he wants to do. And him and I discussed it. And then, Keelan Brown had that discussion, obviously with his family as well. And our baseball coach, who I've got a lot of respect for, and kind of had that discussion. And, the idea was if Keelan's going to have the opportunity to compete for the starting job, it is maybe at his best interest to really focus on that. And we've had discussions with current high school prospects that are recruiting that have talked about playing multiple sports. Speaking of that, we had the legend Sam Kraft come out and talk to the team the other day. And, obviously Sam was a 2-sport star and beloved by not only the University of Memphis, but the city itself. And so it's great to have Sam. So look, I'm willing to have those discussions. You guys well know too, though, but anybody that shows up here for another sport, the scholarship ultimately counts against football. So, but more power to it. If we think it's something can happen, I'm good for it, and Keelan, look, if Keelan becomes Russell Wilson at quarterback, let him go play baseball and we'll roll from there. We'll figure it out.
Steven?
Going back to the transfer side, you guys brought in a lot of talented players, some that I'm pretty sure that you're hoping that can contribute in year one. There was an expectation that the NCAA was going to approve that one-time transfer waivers, been kind of getting pushed down. So I guess, what have you been hearing from your colleagues? Is that still the expectation, or are you just kind of in wait and see mode like the rest of us?
Yeah, I think we're all wait and see. I think April 15th is going to be the day of a lot of decision making on a lot of things. That's kind of, they're holding it all to that date. And really, that will also tell us what the recruiting rules will look like. What will June 1 will be a dead period still, will be a quiet period, or coaches allowed on the road? Are we allowed to have camps? What the waiver will look like. Are we in COVID hours? What all that will look like. But April 15th will be a big date. I can sit here and guess and anticipate, but reality, nobody truly knows.
All right, thanks for the time, Coach.
Evan, you got another question?
Yeah, no, just
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, sorry, just a quick follow up on that. Like, is there a genuine expectation that this one-time transfer is from your end? I mean, I don't know if you can say, but do you expect that this is going to happen? You think?
I do. I mean, I think that's, as of this morning, I think someone told me there's 2,000 kids in the transfer portal. So even then, you're only allotted 85 scholarships and 25 initials. And as you guys well know, every transfer you bring in, if you're full in your 25 counts to your next year's class. And they don't, they can't count it as initial counter. So, it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I guess I was just more thinking like, do you kind of have a plan either way? Like, do you have a kind of like a roster plan or a, situation where let's just say it doesn't go down, you kind of have a backup plan in your head, or are you thinking about, hey, we're planning as if this is going to happen?
Yeah, you think it's going to happen, but every single day by the minute is roster management for me. It's like I said, college football is turned in to roster management for head coaches, and it can change by the minute, it can change by the day. Obviously, I've got to have multiple plans this day and age, with what the NCAA legislation does and whatever they decide to do. But Evan, the thought is that it's going to go through. That it's going to be a blanket waiver for this year and maybe for beyond. But either way, I've kind of got like 19 different rosters I look at, 19 different schedules, recruiting calendars, camps calendars, official visits. And my guess is they'll be throwing away 95% of them. So just kind of like when we had the COVID calendar, it was every day changing different schedules and depth charts, and part of it, a lot of red ink and moving forward.
Brian, go ahead.
Just to piggyback on that, with the one-time transfer rule, would there be like a blanket waiver for within the conference as well, or how do you anticipate that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Brian. We have that. I don't mind sharing that has been brought up, right? Because our conference doesn't have allow currently for interconference transfers unless you file for a waiver. And I know the ACC just passed it, I believe, within the last 2 weeks, and so it is being discussed. It's going to be discussed at our head coaches and athletic director meetings in May. But right now I don't know, if that's going to grab legs before then, and so we'll see. I mean, our next semester of class after this one will start back, really June 1. So we'll see what kind of decisions are made prior to then.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.